Hi class, today we're learning about dividing polynomials, and this is a really exciting new thing that we're doing. I'm still chewing apple, that was kind of a mistake. Anyways, it's a new algebraic technique that we're learning, and it's going to be used in factoring polynomials of higher than degree 2. So this is one of those things in math that you just got to practice over and over and over again until the process becomes routine. Okay, and just when you think you got it down, you got to make sure you do it again and again to make sure that you really understand what you're doing. So the learning goals today are we're going to be using polynomial division to divide polynomial expressions. Also, we're going to use something called synthetic division to divide polynomial expressions by a first-degree polynomial. And then we're going to learn how to express our original polynomial as a product with a remainder. So how's that for a lot of mathy language there all at once? So first, this is what I miss about having a live classroom, because I love hearing the groans and the chuckles and everything when I bring up long division and how students forget how to do it. So when we divide something like 107 divided by 4, first let's come up with some definitions. So this guy here is called the dividend. So it's the thing that's being divided. So it's saying if I have 107 and I have that's my dividend, then 4 is my divisor. So I want to know if I have 107 and I want to divide it into 4 parts, how many parts does that give me? Or groups of 4. So how many groups of 4 fit into 107? Okay, so the answer we get up here will be called the quotient. Okay, so long division, you take the first one and divide it by 4. Well, we can't do that, so then we go to 10. So 10 divided by 4, well, 4 goes into 10 2 times. So 2 times 4, remember you do that multiplication, 2 times 4 is 8. So then we subtract 8 from 10 to get 2. And then we bring down the 7. So now we have the number 27. So how many times does 4 go into 27? Well, it goes in 6 times, because 7 times would be 28. So 6 times. So then we put 26 up here, and then we do this multiplication. Okay, and then it will go in here. So 4 times 6 is 24. And then we subtract. Okay, so the number after we multiply goes here, and that gives us 3. Okay, and because we have no numbers up here to bring down anymore, this is something called a remainder. Okay, so we can write our answer this way. 107 is equal to 4 times 26 plus 3. Okay, because there's 26 groups of 4 and 107, and then just 3 little singles left over. So we didn't have quite enough to make 27 groups of 4. Okay, so you can also write this as, if you imagine everything being divided by 4, 107 over 4 is 26 plus 3 over 4. Okay, so you can imagine that I got from here to here by dividing everything by 4 to get to here. So it's important to understand this, because that will be useful when we come up with division like things like this coming up. So the first thing you need to do is just remind yourself how to do normal old division with numbers, long division, and then you'll be ready for polynomial division. So take a look at this again. You can maybe practice a few more, and you also will need to know these definitions. Okay, those 4 words. Okay, so we can divide polynomials in a similar way. So in this case, we have our dividend, x squared plus 5x plus 7. So we write that under this division, the long division sign. Okay, and then our dividend is x plus 2. So we're dividing x squared plus 5x plus 7, and we're dividing it by x plus 2. Okay, so pay very close attention to how you do this. We take just the first term here, and we say, how many times does it go into this term? Okay, so we're not looking at the plus 2, we're just looking at the x, and we're starting here. So how many times does x go into x squared? So on the side here, you can do x squared divided by x just gives you x, right? You subtract the exponents. X squared divided by x is just x. So x squared divided by x is x, and you write that on top of the x term, okay, because you want these terms to line up. So x squared divided by x is x. So now we need to bring this down and multiply that by x plus 2. And then, so multiply. And then we're going to write that underneath. So x times x plus 2 is x squared plus 2x. Okay, so we write that underneath. And now we subtract, just like our normal division up top, we subtract. So x squared minus x squared is 0. That should always happen if you did it right. And then 5x minus 2x is 3x. Okay, and now we bring down the plus 7. Okay, so now this is the new thing that we're looking to divide. So 3x, we just look at the first term. So we're looking at x squared, 3x and the x here. Okay, so how many times does x go into 3x? So again, just like up here, when we had this 24, that's the stage that we're at now. Okay, sorry, when we had this 27, that's my bad. How do I undo here? There, when we had this 27, okay, we said how many times does 4 go into 27 now? So that's what we're doing down here. How many times does x go into 3x now? And it's 3 times. So we write plus 3, okay, to get that. So now we take all of this, 3. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong example here on my notes. This 3 now gets multiplied by all of x plus 2. Sorry, that should say multiply. Okay, so 3 times x plus 2 is 3x plus 6. So it gets written down here, okay? And so now, again, we subtract. So 3x minus 3x is nothing, which again should always happen. And then 7 minus 6 is 1. So that means that our remainder is 1. Okay? So this means that x squared plus 5x plus 7 divided by x plus 2 is x plus 3 with a remainder of 1. So let's go through these steps again. Okay, so we started with x squared plus 5x plus 7 divided by x plus 2. You look at the first term divided by the first term. So x squared divided by x gives you x. Then you take that and multiply it by the whole dividend and write it down. Then you subtract the 2 and you're left with 3x. Then you bring down the next term. So you have 3x plus 7 now divided by x plus 2. So you just do the first term divided by the first term. 3x divided by x is 3. Then you multiply 3 by x plus 2 and write it down here and subtract. You're left with 1. And because we have no more terms here, that means we're done. So our solution then is x squared plus 5x plus 7 is equal to bracket x plus 2 times bracket x plus 3, and then our remainder is 1. Okay? Now, the other way of writing it is by writing, again, dividing everything by x plus 2. So x squared plus 5x plus 7 over x plus 2 is equal to x plus 3 plus 1 over x plus 3. So again, to get from here to here, I just divided everything by x plus 2, which is the dividend. Oh, sorry, this should be an x plus 2 here. It's my bad. Okay, so I want you guys, before we do the synthetic division, I want us to try example 2 so we get used to the polynomial division. Okay, so this one has one extra term. Okay, so it's 3x squared minus 5x minus 7x minus 1 being divided by x minus 3. Okay, so let's get started. So we do the first term divided by the first term. So 3x squared divided by x is 3x. So we write it here. Now we multiply that by everything down here. So 3x times x minus 3 is 3x squared minus 9x squared. Sorry, this is my bad. 3x to the power 3 divided by 5x minus 5x squared, okay? So 3x cubed divided by x is 3x squared. So we multiply that down. 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. 3x squared times minus 3 is minus 9x squared. Okay, there we go. Now we subtract this whole line. So remember, it's subtraction. So 3x cubed minus 3x cubed is nothing, is 0. So again, that should work. But be careful here. Minus 5x squared minus negative 9x squared is plus 4x squared. Okay? And then you bring down the negative 7x. Just that guy, not the minus 1. Okay, so now you're looking at the first term divided by the first term. 4x squared divided by x is plus 4x. So then 4x times x minus 3 is 4x squared minus 12x. Okay, and we're subtracting. So this goes away, and then minus 7x minus a negative 12x is, why am I missing this? Is positive 5x, there we go, 5x, okay? And now to get to the next step, we bring down the minus 1, okay? So now we're doing the first term, 5x divided by x is plus 5, okay? So 5 times x minus 3 is 5x minus 15. Okay, so we subtract that, and 1 minus negative 15 is positive 14, which is the remainder. Okay, so 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 7x minus 1 has a dividend of x minus 3. A divisor of x minus 3 has a quotient of 3x squared plus 4x plus 5 and a remainder of 14. Okay, so I want you guys to practice this one. Now, the only difference here is that you notice this cubed is written before the squared, so you just have to rewrite it so that the cubed is before the squared, okay? So I did that there on purpose to get you guys to practice that. You have to write it in order of descending degree. So 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 8x minus 12 divided by x minus 1. Okay, the answer you should get is 2x squared minus x plus 7, and the remainder that you get down here is negative 5. So try that on your own and see if you can get it. Okay, so there is a simpler way of doing division, and it's called synthetic division. But synthetic division will only work if you're dividing by a binomial, okay? So it will only work if it's, a first degree binomial. It has to be of the form ax minus b. Okay, so a number times x minus b. It doesn't work if you're dividing by a quadratic or anything higher than that. So how this works is you set up a deep L because you're going to have 2 rows of numbers in this L. And this top row of numbers are just the coefficients of the dividend. So a 1, a 5, and a 7. Okay, and you divide by whatever makes the divisor equal to 0. So x plus 2 equals 0 gives you x is equal to minus 2. So that is the number that you're putting here. Okay, so the number that makes the divisor 0 is what you put here. So when you're doing this, the first step is that you always bring down the first number, and then you multiply it up. So 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And now you add going down. You add. So that's a bit confusing because here we're subtracting when we go down, but here we're adding. So 5 minus 2 is 3. And now we multiply. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Okay, the last number here is always the remainder. And these are the coefficients of the terms. So this is going to be the constant term. And this is going to be the coefficient on x. Okay, if we had another number, that would be the coefficient of x squared, of x cubed, etc. So this 1 says the coefficient on x is 1. And then this is plus 3 with the remainder 1. That's what this tells us. Okay, so let's do the other example the same way. So we can use synthetic division because we're just dividing by a binomial that's of first degree. So we make our long L and we put the coefficients. So in order, 3, negative 5, negative 7, and negative 1. And then think about what number are you putting here? Negative 3? No, you're putting positive 3 here because that's what makes this divisor, equal to 0. Okay, so x minus 3 equals 0 gives you x equals 3. That's why you put that there. Okay, so step 1 is to bring down the first number, and then you multiply up. So 3 times 3 is 9. Now we add these together. Minus 5 plus 9 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 7 plus 12 is 5. And then 5 times 3 is 15. 15. Minus 1 times plus 15 is 14. And the last number is always your remainder. So now this is your constant term, your x coefficient, and your x squared coefficient. So you get 3x squared plus 4x plus 5, comma, remainder 14, which is the same thing we got over here. So try that for your practice as well. So when you're setting this up, make sure you're putting it in the right order. So you're getting 2, negative 3, 8, negative 12, and that you're putting a positive 1 here. Try it. So make sure that on the bottom here, you should get 2, negative 1, 7, and negative 5, okay, to match up to what you got here. All right, so those are the most basic examples of polynomial and synthetic division. Example 3, 4, and 4 are when we're dividing by different types of divisors. So this one, you'll see the divisor is actually quadratic, so you can't use polynomial division. Synthetic division. You can't use synthetic division, which sucks because synthetic division is way easier. But that's why we have to learn polynomial division. And then example 4, you'll see the divisor just has a coefficient on the x term, so that's why I did that one. You'll see something kind of tricky happens. So let's do this. So first we have to rewrite this in descending degree. So write in descending degree, so from the highest degree term to the lowest. And you'll notice here that there is an x to the power 4, an x to the power 3, an x and a constant, but there's no x squared. So what you have to remember is that there always has to be a placeholder for where the normal descending degree would be. So if a term degree is missing, you still need a placeholder. So if a term degree is missing, include it, but just write it with a coefficient of 0 to show that it's so that the statement still remains true. Okay, so when you're doing this division, you're going to have, x to the power 4 minus 2x cubed, and then plus 0x squared. So there's no x squared, so you have to include 0x squared, plus 5x plus 3. And that's being divided by, okay, and this also has to be descending degree, so x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, so again, it's just the first term divided by the first term. So x to the power 4 divided by x squared is x squared. Okay, so x squared times all of this is, so x squared times x squared is x to the power 4. X squared times 2x is plus 2x cubed. And x squared times 1 is plus x squared. So now remember, this is back to polynomial division, so we're subtracting. So this minus this is 0. Careful here. Minus 2x cubed minus 2x cubed is negative 4x cubed. Those don't cancel each other out. That's confusing. So the 0x squared minus x squared is minus x squared. And then we're going to bring down the plus 5x. Okay, so now it's the first term divided by the first term. So you get minus 4x. So minus 4x times x squared is minus 4x cubed. Sorry, minus 4x cubed. Minus 4x times 2x is minus 8x squared. And minus 4x times 1 is minus 4x. So now we do subtraction. So minus 4x minus a negative 4x cubed, sorry, those cancel each other out. Minus x squared minus a negative 8x squared. That gives us positive 7x squared. This minus this gives us a positive 9x. And then we got to bring down now the plus 3. Okay, so again, the first term divided by the first term. So 7x squared divided by x squared is plus 7. Multiply down, you get 7x squared plus 14x plus 7. Now I got to subtract. Running out of room here. This minus this goes away. That's what it should do. 9x minus 14x gives us a negative 5x. And 3 minus 7 is minus 4. So we have nowhere else to go. So this entire thing is our remainder. This minus 5x minus 4 is our remainder. So you could write this answer as x to the power 4 minus 2x cubed plus 5x plus 3 is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 1 times x squared minus 4x plus 7, and then plus the remainder of minus 5x minus 4. Okay? And you can't do synthetic division. That's all you can do there. Okay, last example, and then there's one more practice one for you guys, which I know you're going to come to class having actually tried it. Okay, so here, this divisor is a first degree polynomial, a binomial. So we actually can use synthetic division. So I'm going to show you both ways of doing it. If you're brave and you want to, you can try this polynomial division first. In fact, I would recommend doing this one, trying it on your own, and then going through the steps with me to make sure you got it right. I will be going through this one a bit quicker because we've already learned how to do it. So 4x to the power 4 plus 6x cubed minus 6x squared minus 4x, okay, and then I got to put plus 0. Remember, you need a placeholder for every single degree, and that includes the constant. And we're dividing it by 2x plus 1. Okay, so remember, it's just the first one divided by the first one. So 4x to the power 4 divided by 2x is 2x cubed. I multiply it down, I get 4x to the power 4 plus 2x cubed. I subtract, and I get 4x cubed. And now I'm going to bring down the minus 6x squared. So this divided by this is 2x squared. So I multiply down. I get 4x cubed plus 2x squared. I subtract, and I get minus 8x squared. Okay, now I bring down my minus 4x. So the first one divided by the first one is negative 4x. Multiply this times this, so minus 8x squared minus 4x. I subtract, and I get 0, okay? And that's okay. And then I add my 0, so I end up just getting nothing else up here, so plus 0, because 0 divided by 2x is 0. That's not undefined. 0 divided by something you can do. So I just get plus 0. So that's my answer there. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a synthetic division, but there's a little trick with the synthetic division. So the coefficients here are 4, 6, minus 6, minus 4, and 0. Remember, you need that placeholder. But what am I putting out here? That's what you got to be careful of. People often put minus 1, but why isn't that right? Well, you remember it has to be whatever would make this guy 0. So 2x plus 1, if we set that equal to 0, we get x equals negative 1/2. So what we actually have to put here is negative 1/2. But that does cause us a little trouble, and you'll see why in a minute. So I bring down the 4. 4 times minus 1/2 is minus 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 times minus 1/2 is minus 2. 6 minus 6 minus 2 is minus 8. Minus 8 times minus 1/2 is positive 4. This adds to 0. 0 times this is 0. And so I get 0, and that's my remainder. So remember, this is my constant. This is my x squared, and my x cubed. So you might be looking at this and saying, but Mrs. Weens, I got a 4, 4 minus 8, and here I got a 2, 2 minus 4. So what do you notice about that? You should notice that this is just double this. So why is that true? Well, it's true because of this minus 1/2. So really what this means here is that we have x plus 1/2 times 4x cubed plus 4x squared minus 8x. So we want this, though, to look like 2x plus 1, right? We want that to be 2x plus 1. So how do we do that? Well, all of these are divisible by 2. So we're going to take a 2 out of all of them. They're actually all divisible by 4, but it's the 2 we want in here because we want this to be 2x plus 1. And notice that if we multiply that by 2, then we'll get 2x plus 1. So we're going to rewrite this x plus 1/2. And I'm going to pull a 2 out of all these guys. So I've pulled out a 2, and so I'm left with 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4x. Okay, and now I'm just going to multiply this 2 through to that bracket. So that gives me 2x plus 1 bracket 2x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4x. Okay, so there you have it. That's how you make it look the same as you do over here. Okay, now if you wanted to fully factor this, you could actually take out another 2x out of all of this, and you would be left with 2x times 2x plus 1 times x squared plus x minus 4. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. Sorry, not minus 4. Minus 2. Okay, and then this actually is just a first degree trinomial, or sorry, a simple trinomial, and that factors to x plus 2 and x minus 1. So here you have a beautiful factored form, which means you can graph it and do all kinds of things with it, find the zeros, of our quartic, this long quartic. So this is leading you guys up to what you're going to be doing tomorrow, is using division to do this long factoring questions. And you can think about what's special about this situation that led us to be able to factor it without a remainder. Okay, So again, the idea here is anytime that you have an a value that's not 1 in your divisor, when you change it to a fraction here, you're going to have numbers here that you have to change in order for it to look proper. So we'll do more examples of that in class. This is a really important concept, like star this one, because students often make mistakes with this type of question, and there is a question like this on the test. Okay, that definitely comes up. So make sure you understand this. All right, so now do this practice question. Do it with polynomial division and with synthetic division. You should get your final answer as x to the power of 4 minus 2x cubed plus 13x minus 6 is equal to x plus 2, and then here you go, here's your quotient, x to the power 3 minus 4x squared plus 8x minus 3 with no remainder. So that is all she wrote. Okay, guys, let's get dividing. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned lots.